Good morning, Shavua Tov. We're in Parashat Shoftim, and we're finished actually with the big speech of Moshe, stretching out from the very beginning of Sefer Dvarim on Parashat Vayitchanan and Ekev. Parashat Re was full of mitzvot, and now we have a parasha full of authorities, let's say, because we deal with Shoftim, we deal with Navi, we deal with Melucha, kingdom in Am Israel. We deal with the Kehuna, with the Kohen Gadol status. So we have a lot of authorities in Am Israel. Actually, it's maybe the first parsha that deals with mamash the entrance to Eretz Israel, because in the desert we needed a lot of mitzvot. They're all relevant in the desert, but neither king nor Navi, etc. They had just Moshe Rabbeinu, nothing else, nobody else. So now we'll start with the Shoftim, as we'll see all over Sefer Dvarim. We have Midrash Halacha in Midrash Agadah. I mentioned it several times that the beginning of the parasha starts always with an halacha, with a question and with a clear answer. And I mentioned last week that Professor Alivni, who passed away just now, mentioned that in the Gemara we find a big mailach of everything. That every sugya you have a statement, let's say by Rabbi Yosef or by Rava, and then you have a long speech of the Gemara, questioning and answering, and sometimes the answers are very dachuk or very don't make any sense. And he assumes that the very base of the Gemara is just based on what Rava and Rabbi Yosef said, but the continuation, all the speech and all the question and answer is later, is meuchar, what he calls the Savoraim. So here in the Midrash Halacha, we have mamash the essence of the din, and usually with relation to מחשובף, or מדרש אגדה. הלכה, קרובו של אדם, מהו שיהיה מותר לשב בדינו, כן? So it's a big question, whether קרוב is פסול לדון או להעיד. Here the question is about לדון. We know that in משניות Sanhedrin, that actually are very relevant to this parasha. Most of the משניות deal with מלך, לא דן ולא דנים אותו, לא מעיד ולא מעידים אותו. So whether you can testify, you can be a witness in court, or more than that, you can be the judge in court. Because if you don't have ne'emanut as a witness, as an aid, so for sure you don't have a ne'emanut, the advanced ne'emanut, advanced that we have to believe in you to know that you're neutral, that you're objective, that we need a judge. So the question starts from the upper level. קרובו של אדם, a relative of you, your wife, your son, will it be permitted to judge you? כך שנו חכמים, so the midrash answer, אלו הם הקרובים, אביו ואחיו, ואחי אביו, ואחי אמו. So what we call קרובים, we know in חושן משפט סימת למד ג' או ד', I think למד ג', that we have the list of all the קרובים, and we know that they cannot testify on you. Your father, let's say that chas v'shalom, I make a driving accident and my wife sits with me in the car, so she's in the civil law, she can testify on what happened in by halacha. You cannot do that because she's a psula, not only because she's a woman, but because of she's my relative as well. So אביו ואחיו ואחי אביו ואחי אמו. למה כן? אלא כשם שהקרוב פסול להעיד, כן הוא פסול לדון. And that's a big question, why קרוב is פסול להעיד. You know that if you learn Sanhedrin בעיון, so there is a big discussion in the אחרונים, whether נתיבות, קצות, whether Karov it's a problem of a liar, that since she is my wife, I don't believe her, that she might testify better or worse because it's me. And she won't be objective, or the relative, my father, my brother, my uncle won't be objective, or that it's not that I don't believe. Like Moshe and Aaron, they are the most objective people on earth. But even though it's Ezrat HaKatuv, the Torah says that Karov cannot testify. Yeah, you can say because of people will think that he's not objective because of the nirut, how it seems to other, the depiction of the court, a lot of things. But that's
but interesting, he doesn't mention the sun.
Right. He doesn't mention the sun, but I think that a continuation of this Braita is all the other side, son, grandson, etc. If I remember well, it appears. It's just, vechule, all included in this vechule. Yeah, because it has a long list. The son is for sure a relative and Pasule Edot and all the descendants. Okay. ומה ראית לומר כן? What's the reason that is possible to עדות? אמר רב שמעון בר יוחאי, כתיב, וניגשו הכהנים בני לוי, כי בם בחר השם אלוקיך לשרתו ולברך בשם השם, ועל פיהם יהיה כל ריב וכל נגע. So here in the parasha we have the discussion of the כהנים בני לוי. It's at the end of the parasha, in פרשת עגלה ערופה, we have the discussion over the fact who killed the person, and then we bring the Ziknei Ha'ir, and we bring the Ziknei Kohanim, as we know it in the Mishnayot at the end of Masechet Sotah. So how does the Torah describe the authority of the Kohanim? Kivam, first of all, why do we need the Kohanim? We need the Ziknei Ha'ir because somehow it's a achrayut of the city. Yeah, we must say that maybe the murderer came from the city, or maybe the person of the people of the city didn't accompany him, didn't let him go well, so they're responsible somehow. But what's the relation of the Kohanim? So first of all, the Torah states out that Kivam bachar Hashem Elokecha lesharto ulevarech b'shem Hashem. So there is a officer of Kadosh Baruch Hu, something like this. And secondly, the Torah says ve'al piem yeh kol riv ve'chol naga. So they are the one to judge kol riv, Kohanim. As we know from Malachi that Kisiftei Kohen Ishmeru Da'at, that the Kohen is not only just a Buracha giver, the Korban Makriv, but also the one that teaches halachas. So Al Piem Yeh Kol Riv Vechol Naga, they know how to be poisek in Choshen Mishpat. They know they are judges. Vechol Naga in Isur Ve'eter in Yoredea, they know how to distinguish between בהרת and etc. in צרת. בואו ראה, הקיש נדרים לריבים וריבים לנגעים. So it's not only, a checklist of what the Kohen can do, because he can do a lot of other things, but the Midrash understands that there is a linkage between rivim and lenega. מה נגועים ביום? נגעים you can see just during the day, because in the night we're afraid that the light is different and we cannot see it well. אף דינים ביום. So basically the Gemara has in Sanhedrin halacha that mishpat, from everything that needs a mishpat, you have to do it during the day. Here we see a different drosha for the same thing, that it comes not from an explicit pasuk that mishpat is during the day, but from Negoim. Maybe it's a source of the Gemara itself. Why do we know that mishpat must be during the day? Is according to this midrash from Negoim. Uma rivim. So now we'll do from the other side. Uma rivim, madinim, prat lekarov, because we don't believe karov, either because of the Ezrat HaKatuv or because of negia, that are suspicious that he won't be objective. Af negaim prat לקרוב. So my wife cannot see my nega. I don't remember if a kohenet can see negaim, but even if a woman can do it, she cannot do it because she's my relative. Okay, אמר רבי שמעון ben Gamliel. And this we know from Pirkei Avot as well, that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is a part of the monarchy, as a part of the Shoshelet Bet Hillel and the Shoshelet of the Psika from Shevet Yehuda. אמר רבי שמעון בן גמליאל, אל תהי מלגלג בדין שהוא אחד משלושה רגלי העולם. So it's one of the three legs of the world. למה ששנו חכמים? על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על הדין, על האמת ועל השלום. Yes, it's you remember that there are two משניות in the פרק א' of Avot. One is קיים, one is עומד. It depends on the גרסאות. Here you see that the גרסה is העולם עומד and not העולם קיים. על הדין, על האמת ועל השלום. Yes, we know תורה, עבודה, נקודות חסדים, and the other משנה says דין, אמת ושלום. So דין is one of the three legs of the world. תן דעתך שאם איתית את הדין, שאתה מזעזע את העולם, שהוא אחד מרגליו. Okay? So you rock the world by crooking the din, because it's one of the three legs, and as you know, if you have four legs, so without one, okay, you can a little bit sit on the chair if one leg is missing, but if you have three legs, no way, okay? Because the three, you need each and every one of them. That's like agav. That's why a lot of things in Judaism are based on three, and because I don't remember if I mentioned, but if you see the Maharal tries to learn in each sugya, in each agode, he divides it to three, divides a person into three, the sechel, the lev, the kaved, the nefesh into three, because three is a chut hameshulash lo b'mera inatek, because that's the maximum of things that you need. If I have four, so four is like in chair. You have two and two. In dimensions, you have x and y. So you have on the x, you have two dots stating the distance from one point on the x to another point, and you have the same thing with the y. So you need the four, but without one, you still can arrange. If you combine the x and the y, you still can get along. But in three, you cannot get along. That's why he says that rocking one of the three of the legs of the world, rocking the whole world. רבונן אמרי, קשה הוא כוחו של דין, שהוא אחד מרגלי כיסא הכבוד. So they don't take it into the fear from rocking the din. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says, be careful on the din. It's one of the legs of the world. But Rabbanon say you can do whatever you want, but just know that since it's one of the legs of the world, you'll be punished severely, because קשה הוא כוחו של דין. מניין? So we'll say it in Slichas soon. צדק ומשפט מכון כיסאיך, חסד ואמת יקדמו פניך. So we make in the introduction to Slichot, we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is surrounded by four virtues. Tzedek u'mishpat, might be that it's the same thing, and chesed ve'emet. Actually, we don't think that it's the same thing, because emet is pure din, the pure what you have to do, and chesed is difnim mishurat hadin. But tzedek u'mishpat, we try to think that they're very equal. Rambam at the end of the Moreh Nevuchim says that tzedek u'mishpat are two things a little bit different, and chesed and tzedek are two different things. That the mishpat is the din itself, the tzedek is giving tzedakah, so it's not the din itself, but is a middle virtue. Because let's say that I give a pruta le'ani, I see an ani and gives him tzedakah. So according to the din, I don't know him, I don't know who he is, I don't owe him anything. According to the chesed, if I give him 10 shekels, so I made mamash מידת החסד, I gave him out of the din, I don't, לפנים משורת הדין, I don't owe him, etc. לכאורה, it seems like מידת החסד. But the Rambam states out that tzedek is something in the middle. That tzedek is something that is justification. That what you do is justified. It's not a part of virtue of giving, like chesed, that you don't have to, because actually you have to. Actually, it's not your money. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lended you the money in order to give it to the ani. So the Rambam says that there are three midot. There is a mishpat. Mishpat is what you owe, what you owed to, and what you need. And we cannot say that giving tzedakah is one of these. Tzedakah is in the middle, that you give from your own will, but actually you don't do it just out of free will, but out of a chovah, because what you do is justified. What you do is the right thing, that your money should move from you to the poor one, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it like this. And chesed is something that you do mamash out of the your own will, you don't need, and etc. So it's not related to the midrash, just to say, because it's a part of slichot. Tzedek u'mishpat, chesed ve'emet. Emet and mishpat are lichora the same. Tzedek in the middle, chesed from the other side, just free of will. So we find these virtues in the creation of the world, the famous midrash that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create Adam, and then he asked all the virtues, should it be created or not? So Emet says, Ma pitom, don't create him, he's full of lies. And Chesed Omer Sheken. Okay, so there we find these four midot as well. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Oil v'chach onsho shel din kashe, hevu zeirin. So that's because of the punishment of the din, just be zahir. So here we have the midrash, as I said, Parshat Shoftim is the main parasha in the Torah of all the authorities in Am Yisrael. The court, or Marechet HaShfita, the system of law, is one of the biggest, most important system in any society. You know that the Romans were very proud of their judicial system. Each normal and modern society is proud of his judicial system. And even in Judaism, we know that the judges are very important. Sometimes we have the feeling that if you are more religious and if you just sit and learn, that you won't need the judicial system at all. The judicial system belongs to those who make business, who are in the big world. But if you sit in your own corner and you don't bother other people, so other people doesn't bother you. But it's a big mistake, because the Ma'arechet HaMishpatit is not just a diavad, something that you need just in case that I made a mistake, I made a road accident, so I have to pay how much, and etc. No, the judicial system is a part of a kingdom. And if we want to make a Mishpat Torah, we want to make a Toranic system of kingdom of Am Yisrael comes back to his land. So we really need a judicial system as well. That's why the Midrash here takes the importance and the significance of the judicial system as one of the legs of the world, as one of the legs of the parasha. מניין למה שקראנו בעניין, שופטים ושוטרים. So all is just the two very beginning words of the parasha, shoftim and shotrim. We see the judges and the executors, whatever it means. Okay, see, הלכה ב'. זה שאמר הכתוב, now we go into ממש אגדה. לך הן על נמלה עצל. Famous posuk in Mishlei, שלמה המלך sends you to the ant. Lazy, let's ראה דרכיה וחכם. So he doesn't say you'll be zariz. He says you'll be clever, you'll be wise by looking at the ways the ant behaves. אשר אין לה קצין שוטר ומושל, תכין בקיץ לחמה, אגרה בקציר מאכלה. So it's very interesting, just going from the midrash that we've just seen, because we start the parsha with Shoftim and Shotrim, so we believe in the system. We just said about the system, it's about the judges, about the policemen that we need, and here Shlomo HaMelech sends you into a society of ants where you don't have policemen. אשר אין לקצין שוטר ומושל. Nobody tells the ant what to do. And even though תכין בקיץ לחמה, אגרה בקציר מאכלה. So as we know from the famous משלים, Montaigne, and I don't know how to say it in English, the נמלה זה צרצר. Okay, so תכין בקיץ לחמה, the ant prepares its food in the summer in order that in the winter she'll have a lot of food. So לכאורה, it's very interesting because here you find a society in which you don't really need the system, because the נמלה seems to have in her honor system without any rule, without anybody saying anything to her. מה ראה שלמה ללמד להצל מן הנמלה? רבונן אמרים, הנמלה הזאת 3 בתים יש לה, ואינה כונסת בעליון מפני הדלף, ולא בתחתון מפני הטינה, אלא באמצעי. So let's learn not from so the Midrash understands that Shlomo HaMelech stressed out not the zrizut of the Nemala. That's clear, that the Nemala is very zriza, it always runs, yes? So that's clear. But Shlomo HaMelech uses the word chacham, re'ed ra'achea v'chacham, you'll be wiser by looking at the end. So what's the wisdom of the Nemala? It has 3 houses. Nemala, when it digs its hole in the ground, it has 3 tiny houses. The upper one, it doesn't put the grains of wheat, etc., because the Nemala, the ant, is afraid of the tal, of the rain. The Nemala doesn't put in the lower one מפני הטינה, because of the moisture, because of the רטיבות, yes, waterness of the ground is wet, and it understands that it will damage its grains. אלא באמצעי. Okay, so the Nemala is very wise. What can we learn from that? That we've talked in other shiurim about the derech haemtza, whether a person should not go in the sides, and we understood that the Rambam, the middle way to go always in the middle, is based not on being mediocre, but on being extremist to both sides. Actually, somebody from the Kehilat gave me a new book by Rav Yoel Spitz on Rav Steinsaltz, who was in the Kehilat. You know him much better than I do. And I read it, a very interesting book about a lot of Maasim of Rav Steinsaltz. And then the page number 30, he mamash writes the same thing, that going in the middle is not being mediocre, is being extremist from both sides. But let's go back to the Midrash. What does a person learn from an Nemala? That you should hide your wisdom, you should hide your virtues, you should hide the ways you behave in the middle, not in both sides, because don't expose it too much to the public, because it can be damaged like the rain. Don't put it in your inner part of the soul, and because you might hide it too much, and then you lose your own personality. You have a personality, but you hide it so much that you're not aware of yourself. Put it in the middle, like the Nemala. Put your grains, things that you keep for the future, meaning for the life, for the Olam Haba, put it in the middle. Always try to put it in the middle. That's a very nice mashal Shlomo HaMelech teaches us from the Nemala. But the Midrash says another condition in the Nemala. Ve'ina chaya ela 6 חודשים. The Nemala doesn't live but 6 months. I don't know if it's true. You know, sometimes the Gemara and the Midrash Chachamim had different information about science. Nowadays we know much more. I don't know, but it might be that ant can live not more than 6 months. למה? שמי שאין לו גידים ועצמות, since he doesn't have any skeleton, just רקמות and שרירים and you know muscles, nothing more than that, אינה חיה אלא 6 חודשים, וכל מאכלה אינה אלא חיטה ומחצה, והיא הולכת ומכנסת בקיץ כל מה שמוצאה חיטין ושעורים ועדשים. So even though that it eats just 1 grain and half a grain, even though it gathers so much during the summer that that we have a mamash a warehouse of grains. אמר רבי תנחומא, וכל חייה אינה אלא חיטה ומחצה, והיא כונסת את אלו. למה היא עושה כן? So what's the philosophy behind it? הקדוש ברוך הוא didn't create a creature in order to work 100 or 1,000 times more than it really needs. Actually, sometimes human being lives like this, that he works 10 times more than he really needs. But a normal creature, as Mishnah at the end of Kiddushin says, that Adam is not a normal creature. You look at the creation, you look in the world, and you see that everybody, you have never found a cat that doesn't have what to eat. He finds his, but human being, sometimes he doesn't have what to eat. Why? Because shekipachti ma'asai, because we have a free choice. That's why we do stupid things. But look at the ant. Why does it have to work so hard? למה היא עושה כן? שאמרה, שמא יגזור עליי הקדוש ברוך הוא חיים, ויהיה לי מוכן לאכול. That's very nice. So we learn from the ant not only being חרוץ. How do you say חרוץ? I don't remember the word. Okay, to be quick and fast and work hard. But we learn the hope from an ant. Hope that even though my own life should be not more than 6 months, since I don't have a skeleton, maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give me more. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give me more, I'll have the most of, I have to prepare now, because then HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give me something and I won't get ready. So it's mamash, musar for us in the Yamim HaNoraim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us in Rosh Hashanah Chaim, life, Shefa, Tuv, a lot of things to do. We have to be prepared. We have to get ready for the good Shefa that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does gives us. What should we do with it? So let's learn from the Nemala. The Nemala during the summer gathers a lot of food in order to live in the winter, even though that it doesn't need it, because if I have life, so you see that she is the Nemala yearns always for life, for the hope that HaKadosh Baruch Hu might give her more. And Shlomo HaMelech apparently understood that it gives us a lot of hope and wish to improve and to want to add more to ourselves, and just we have to be ready like the Nemala, in order that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give us, that we'll be able to eat. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a big meal and we don't have teeth, so it doesn't make any sense. אמר רב שמעון בן יוחאי, מעשה היה ומצאו בבור שלה 300 קור. So there was a deed like this, and we found in the cave of an ant 300 kur. We know that from the Maharal and even from the Gemara itself, that sometimes during in the Talmud, when we see 300, the number of 300, it might be just an exaggeration, but it doesn't matter. We find a lot of food. כל מה שמכנסת מן הקיץ מן החורף. לפיכך אמר שלמה, לך אל נמלה עצל, ראה דרכיה וחכם, אף אתם התקינו לכם מצוות מן העולם הזה לעולם הבא. So you, human being, learn to use this world into prepare to the next world. And again, it's not the matter that usually we think, as the Gemara in the Eruvin says, that you can learn everything from the animals. So the Gemara says there that you can learn zrizut min nemala. But here in the Midrash, it's not the zrizut. It's not the virtue of zrizut, the virtue of wisdom. That just think of the big warehouse you might find yourself with, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give you, and don't let them be empty. Fill them with mitzvot. Uma re'eh drachea v'chacham. So what are the ways of the Nemala? Now the Midrash wants to say a little bit more. רבונן אמרי ראה דרך ארץ יש בה שבורחת מן הגזל. Okay, so each Nemala without a shofet, without a judge, knows exactly what belongs to her. We don't find that somebody takes from the other end, apparently. אמר רב שמעון בן חלפתא, he has a story about it. מעשה בנמלה אחת שהפילה חיטה אחת והיו כולן באות ומריחות בה, so each and every other ant comes and smells it, ולא הייתה אחת מהם נוטלת אותה, they are afraid to take it. באה אותה שהייתה שלה ונטלה אותה, it's ממש very nice, not השבת אבדה, but nobody touches it, they know that it doesn't belong to me, so I don't touch it. So they wait till the very end that it belonged to her, came and took it. ראה חוכמה שיש בה, בכל השבח הזה שיש בה, שלא למדה מבריאה, it didn't learn it from anybody else, ולא שופט, ולא שוטר יש לה, no judge, no policeman, שנאמר אשר אין לה קציר שוטר ומושל. אתם שמיניתי לכם שופטים ושוטרים, על אחת כמה וכמה שתשמעו לכם. להם. הווי אומר שופטים ושוטרים תיתן לך בכל שורך. So it's interesting what I said, the tangent that was at the beginning of the Midrash between the שופטים ושוטרים from the one side and the system of ants that from the other side they don't have the שופטים ושוטרים. The Midrash doesn't want to take it, and the Midrash solves it in the easy way, that if Nemala that doesn't have the system of a judicial system behaves like this, you should learn על אחת כמה וכמה. Okay, but actually it's interesting to confront the two systems of ants and human beings and see how the ant can really function without all of that. Let's go a little bit more and try to do גימל. זה שאמר הכתוב, עושה צדקה ומשפט, נבחר להשם מזבח. So if you do good things to צדקה ומשפט, it's better to Hashem than giving him sacrifices and קורבנות. כזבח, אין כתיב כאן, אלא מזבח. It's not like קורבנות, it's better than קורבנות, it's more than. כיצד? הקורבנות לא היו קרבים נוהגות אלא בפני הבית. אבל הצדקה והדינים נוהגות בפני הבית ושלא בפני הבית. So sometimes we have, the big, after Tisha B'Av, the Gemara in Baba Batra Daf Samech, that we have the big nefila, the big collapse after the Churban Bet HaMikdash. What can we do? We don't have the system of Korbanot, we don't have the systems. So the Chazal, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and here the Midrash tries to tell you that most of the things that you have to do are not dependent on anything. You can do it everywhere, every day, not in the system and with the system. Tzedakah v'dinim, you can do it whenever you want, wherever you are. דבר אחר, הקורבנות הן מכפרים אלא לשוגג. If I'm mazid, I cannot bring קורבן. הצדקה והדינים מכפרים אין לשוגג ואין למזיד. So if you didn't behave correctly and you were mazid, so give tzedakah. דבר אחר, הקורבנות אין נוהגים אלא בתחתונים. Okay, because הקדוש ברוך הוא doesn't need it. Korbanot is something that you symbolize to yourself, as Ramban says, that you sacrifice yourself, you should have brought yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, etc. הצדקה והדינים נוהגים בין בעליונים בין בתחתונים. So tzedakah changes not only you, this is a relation between human beings, but also the whole thing. דבר אחר, even the העליונים you changing. דבר אחר, קורבנות נוהגים אלא בעולם הזה. הצדקה והדינים נוהגים בין בעולם הזה בין בעולם הבא. That's why you know the famous רוקח, and I think we'll finish here because we don't have time, the Zoom is about to finish. You know that there is a famous רוקח saying that on the regolim, why do we have yizkor? everybody thinks that Tizkor is a most important thing of the tefillah, but actually it's not. It's based on a rokeach, on a Rishon, one of the Rishonim, saying that usually when you mention Izkor in the regalim, people come and give it tzedakah, and the tzedakah is good for the soul of the niftar. So here you see that by giving tzedakah, you improve. It's mamash, I think, is the only way that you improve the ways of the niftar, because usually b'metim chofshi, we know that once you chas v'shalom, a person is dead, no longer can he do good things. But if his descendants, his relatives, give tzedakah l'ilui nishmato, that improves his own life in olam haba because of the functioning of tzedakah in olam haba. And that's why that's a big reason of askarat neshamot. The main thing is giving tzedakah, giving donations, and if somebody can come to shul, for sure it's good, but if not, so the main thing is that he or she would give a donation leilui nishmat niftar, and that's a substitute to coming to askarat neshamot, which is not such an important part of the tefillah. Let's finish here, and Bezrat Hashem shavua haba we'll do with another halacha of Kitei. Shavua tov to everybody.